Thank you all for being here. Let me welcome you to the Spanglish World Network and H.E.R Network on Zingo TV channels 250 and 251. I am Paola Guthrie from Creating Purpose with Pao. Today, I will remind you again to please download the Zingo TV app on the respective app stores. While you download it, please rate it and leave a comment because we love to know how we're doing and how we can improve. The app is totally free. Single TV app is available in Google Chromecast and Amazon Fire, Fire TV Stick, Roku Sticks, and all smart TVs from 2016 and forward. Thank you again for joining us today because today we have an amazing speaker. We have an amazing trainer, amazing coach. His name is Michael Pope Jr. And I welcome you to the show. Yay!
Happy to be here, my friend. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Michael has been trained by famous leaders in the US, for example, John Maxwell and Joseph McClendon III, just to name a few. So I'm so, you know, blessed to have you here and to share your wisdom with our audience today. So I appreciate you so much.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. I'm honored, definitely honored to be on your show.
Okay, so before we get our conversation started, I know you. One of the things that I admire the most from you is you're a family guy. You've been married for 25 years, so let's honor your wife and your family today.
Yes.
uh, have you guys watched the latest superhero movie?
We have not yet.
Okay, okay, okay. I just want to ask you because you guys enjoy superhero. I have boys, you have boys, and we share that in common that we love superhero movies. So I had to ask.
So we want to, but we normally end up filtering our movies just to filter out any bad language, anything out of the movies. So we normally wait till it comes home, and then we use a service called ClearPlay to be able to filter the movie, any violence, anything we need to filter out of it. So yeah, so we have to wait a little
Oh,
bit longer.
okay. Good to know. Good to know that they have that. You are the coach tech guy, so of course you know what what to use. So that's awesome. Oh, so today you're gonna talk about doer, right? So
Yeah,
let's
being a
dive in.
doer.
Yeah. So what is that? The doer stands for.
Yeah, so the D in doer stands for discipline. All right.
Okay.
And so, as we know, discipline is so important. So, we got discipline, we have opportunity focused. E is executing a proven plan. And R is all about responsibility, really personal responsibility.
Okay. That's awesome. I mean, that's for someone that is ready to shift their life around. It's for someone, to me, that's what it speaks to me, where it's like, okay, you're ready to be disciplined. You're ready to be responsible. You have to be ready to execute. So,
Absolutely.
so why is this topic of being the doer so important, to you? Why is it so important to share to us?
Yeah. So, I think it's extremely important for a few different reasons. For one, when I decided to become a coach, right? So, for my wife and I, we had a long discussion about where we were going to invest our money. And when I decided to invest in getting certified as a speaker, coach, trainer, and all of that, we made a decision that, okay, we're going to put this amount of money in. We've got to make it work, right? Because she was like, even though we have the money, we don't want to just throw it away.
Yes.
So I knew from day one that I had to be a doer going in. So I had to have that mindset of it's going to work. I'm going to succeed. I'm going to win at this. And that's what we do. So really anything in our life that we do, we try to make sure that we're doing it to our fullest. Because
Okay.
we've lost money and things in the past, and we're like, no, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna make it work, no matter what. All right. So that's why I think it's important to be a doer. And I
Okay.
think other people, because I see so many people that are doing that, they're in that ready aim mode, right? They're trying to plan everything out perfectly before they take any action. Like I have to have the perfect website up, or I have to have the perfect
Yeah.
business cards, or I have to have this and that. And I'm like, no, do something first. And one of my mentors on the Maxwell team, Chris Robinson, he always says, learn a little bit, do a little bit.
Okay.
All right. So just learn a little bit and take some immediate action. Because when you take that action, now you have a result and you can make corrections on that result. Right. If I make a phone call and the person hangs up on me, then I know that maybe I need to sound differently on the call, right? Say different words or something. But if I
Yeah.
just sit on my thoughts, nothing's gonna happen.
That's funny you give that example because like today when I was sending an email, I was like, I erased because I was like, I'm not using the right language.
Mm,
And I'm like, no. And whenever I went back and I was like, oh wow, that's the importance of taking action, imperfect,
yes,
right?
imperfect action, absolutely.
Imperfect action. And as you continue to learn, you continue to listen and go to courses and seminars, then your like one of our mentors says, like your conscious becomes unconscious, right?
Hmm.
So the more we practice, the more we listen to it, then the better we'll become. But I observed that I was like, that's not the right wording. So I erased it and then I typed, what you guys have taught me.
That's good, very good. Yep.
So yeah, I agree with you. A lot of us out there, and it doesn't have to be on a specific field. Is whatever you're at in your life. If you're ready to step up, if you're ready to have that change in your life, is like Michael is saying, is like execution. Take the action. It might be imperfect at first, but the more we do it, then it will condition our brain, our body to do it better and better each time. So
Yeah.
yes, at first I got very excited and I asked you about superhero movie. I didn't ask you to share with us a little bit about you so the audience can get to know you more. So could you share a little bit about, your background, your passion, your purpose in life?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, so Michael Pope, the coach's tech guy, from North Carolina originally, Raleigh, North Carolina originally, but now my wife and I live in Ohio area. Been here for the last 25 years. We're raising three sons. I have a 15-year-old, a 14-year-old, and an almost 10-year-old. So my youngest will be 10 on Thanksgiving this year, so November
Oh,
24th. Yeah, so he'll be in double digits, and so it's just an
and
exciting life, right?
yeah, yeah, Taekwondo family, right?
No, karate, karate.
Karate, yeah,
Yep, Japanese
awesome.
style. Yep. So yeah,
Yay.
yeah. So the two oldest, they have that black belt. My youngest, he just earned his brown belt this past Saturday, so we're super proud of him. And it all comes down to, like, they're a doer when it comes to the sport of karate, right? They're doers. They have the discipline. I mean, because you have to have something like karate, any type of martial arts field, right? It requires discipline to make it happen. So they're extremely disciplined with doing their practice of their katas and their takedowns and everything else, and going to class and learning what they need to learn, whether it's the Japanese words and all of that. It takes discipline. It doesn't come natural to most people, right? So they have to work at it, and they've learned to do that. They're opportunity focused. So my two oldest now, they're helping out. They're serving to help out the TOTS class, the toddler TOTS class in karate on once a week right now. So that's an opportunity for them to learn how to teach other people, but they're serving, helping people out.
Yes.
So it's great. They execute their plan. So any assignments that they're given in martial arts to practice their katas at home or takedowns and things, I mean, they do those as best they can.
Yes.
Right.
Any parents out there that are listening to us, our kids are watching us. So they
Absolutely.
get to
Mhm.
see you and experience that you're a doer. And
Yes.
and believe it or not, it's like you're modeling for them. So
Yeah. And then they take responsibility of the art, right? So it all, because they take their personal responsibility for their own actions and all that. And it's so important. And you mentioned about modeling. Even even my failures, it's important for me to model those for my kids, right? Because it's not that there's going to be a lack of failure in my life, right? We all fail at something. Failure is
yes,
part of success, but it's my attitude towards it. So how do I respond when I do fail? Am I learning from this? And even my two oldest, when they went through their black belt testing, there was a series of boards they had to break, and they didn't do it on the first time, right? So there were some tears and there was some talking to we had to do, but we had to work on their minds to let them know that they were capable of doing it. It's going to take some more practice, right? Some believing in themselves, but yeah, they were able to eventually do it.
that's awesome. What are some other results that you've gotten by being a doer?
Yeah, so I would say, looking at my business as a coach slash trainer over just looking at the last 6 or 7 months or so, I mean, I've had some amazing growth. I have personally spoken like in person and video conferencing like this in over 60 different stages, which is huge. So I'm absolutely loving that, right? Just speaking in person. The largest stage has been the John Maxwell conference back in Florida. There was a little over 2,000 people in that audience. And then I've had, of course, smaller Zoom sessions and things in person, a smaller setting at a local high school here, where I was able to bring my kids and actually had them in the audience hearing me speak. So that was a really great experience for me. So yeah, so that's great from that standpoint. I've also added lots of new clients. I believe I'm up to 16, either 16 or 17 new clients in the last 6 months.
Good.
I have a membership that's growing, and I'm just having a lot of fun.
Good. I'm glad you mentioned that you're having a lot of fun because, okay, for all of our audience right now, I mean, whenever, Michael is here to tell you about what a doer is for him, what he has, find out through his trainings and teaching other people. And now he's trying to pass down what he has learned. And he created this doer presentation back in, I didn't get to see it, right? But he's sharing with us a little bit of the presentation that he created. So we are here sharing together, using this platform
Mm-hmm.
for you to use this doer in any area of your life that you need to, like for you to align to what makes you feel more alive.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be specifically for business. If it's for business, please take advantage of it. It could be on your health area. It could be your marriage. It could be your family. It could be your profession. So as we share this beautiful information, be open-minded that it doesn't have to be you don't have to be just a doer in your business, or you don't have to be a doer as a family member. But if you can be a doer in any area of your life that you are seeking that new change, that you're like, like you need some oxygen for you to go to the next level, right? Sometimes we feel like sometimes we have to feel a little bit of pain more than usual for us to be like, no more,
So
no
true.
more. Yes. So align with what makes you feel more alive. And I know, Michael, you are a Christian man.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes whenever we're Christian and we try to do something new, then we might feel guilty because I mean, I'm telling you from personal experience, like you don't know if that's the right track. You don't know if you're going to be accepted, but for those of our friends right now that they have that fear to step into being a doer, know that if you're expressing the fruits of the spirit, if you're doing it with peace, with joy, with love, with kindness, if you know that what you're doing is good for you, good for others, good for the greater good, move the fear aside. Right, because we need you all to be at your best or whatever you do. And being a doer right here is like, it's a great reminder and great information, like for me and all of you to step on whatever area of our life that we need to. So thank you so much for being here. I just wanted to clarify that because there's different mindsets out there, and you get to hear and you get, sometimes the comments from other people stopped us. And whenever we don't know, like whenever we don't know if it's the right track, we even get get stuck for longer. So I wanted to share that, like if it's good for you, good for the greater good, good for others, is like move the fear aside. So what is the number? What do you have to share about that?
Yeah. So one thing I'll add to that is sometimes you may not be able to move the fear aside. Just do it anyway, right? So do it in spite of the fear. Do it with the fear, knowing, okay, maybe I'm a little fearful, but I'm going to keep moving forward, right? Keep taking those steps and taking action. And if you need help, reach out for help, because there's someone who's probably already pushed through and done what you're trying to do. Hey, just ask them for help and guidance, and just go for it. Because a lot of times that fear is just in our head. And once we do it, we're like, oh, wow, it wasn't that bad. I remember my kids, when they broke their first board, like they were a little hesitant at first, like it's gonna hurt, it's gonna hurt. Then they did it, and like, oh, that was cool. Let me do it again, right?
Yes.
So yeah, we just got to do it.
Yeah. And I'm glad you share that, because sometimes when we step over the fear, we take action. We do it and it's like, oh, we did it. Oh, I want to do it again. There is that. But it's like, give me another chance. I want to do it again. So yes, yes, for any of
Yeah.
our audience today that are experiencing fear, self-doubt, there that's those are fears of our dreams, right? Like our
Hmm.
mentor shares with us. Yes. So
Yeah.
what
And
is the
I see a comment from Maggie Jean here. Hey, Maggie Jean, good to see you. Yeah, she said, yeah,
Yay,
if you need
thanks.
help, reach out for help. The fear is only in our heads. That's so true. So true. Yep.
Yes, and one of your, maybe you're going to mention it here in a little bit. You talk about accountability.
Yes.
Seek for that accountability that can pull you to where you're going.
Yeah, that's so important to have someone that you can be accountable to. In a lot of cases, right, you need multiple people that you can be accountable to. But at a minimum, have one person that you're accountable to that you can say, hey, this is what I'm planning to do. This is what I actually did. And you can get some help, because sometimes you may be struggling and like, man, I don't know if I can do it. But I know for me, if I have someone to be accountable to, then I'm more likely to take more action, because I've got to report out, right? So if you're my accountability partner, I say I'm going to do, 50 push-ups today, and I come to you, I need to make sure that I do my 50 push-ups.
Yes.
And it goes to the first part of the D, which is discipline. And as Joseph McClendon says, discipline is doing the prescribed activity no matter what, even and especially when it's difficult, right? And that's key. No matter what, even and especially when it's difficult. And it's going to be difficult a lot of times to be disciplined, but you still got to do it.
Yes. I agree with you. Yes, and because discipline is, you're building the muscle. You're
Yes.
teaching. You're teaching. That's a conversation I was having with my son yesterday. I said, a habit is programmed after, what is it, 90 days? That's what I told him.
Yeah, I've seen, yeah, 90 days works, right? It's like I've seen different, I think 87 might be the official,
Okay. Okay.
but some
And
people say
he's,
21, right? Is it like, hey, just keep doing
yes,
it?
yes. He said, so do I have to get a board and mark it? Yep. Yep.
Yep,
I said,
right.
if you want to reprogram yourself, I said, to do that, for the rest of your life or for a long period of time, you have to do it, it's discipline. You have to do it for the first 90 days. I said, every single day until you become, it becomes habitual.
Yeah.
And yes, that's what discipline is. It's like the more we do it, then we're conditioning our brain, our body, whatever we're using, to deliver it naturally.
And I love that you have them tracking it, right? Because we can't manage what we don't measure. So that's great that you've got him tracking it, so that way he knows. And
Yes.
I tell you, so there's a book that where's it? I just had it. Oh, here it is. So this book right here, 17 Minutes to Your Dream by Darren LaCroix. This book helped me with some of that discipline, because he talks about taking 17 minutes out the day and put it towards your dream, whatever that dream is. Right.
Wow.
So like, you're not having to do hours upon hours. So even if it's something like exercise, right? Just take 17 minutes and
Yeah.
exercise hard consistently.
Yes. It's only 17. We spend more time on our social media sometimes. So
Exactly. Right.
yes, yes. That's good. I need to read that book. 17 minutes.
Yeah, I think you like it. Yeah, it's a really good book.
Awesome. But yeah, like, get your accountability partner, because yesterday I had a call with my accountability partner, and I was planning to have a free day, a recharge day. But after I spoke with my accountability partner, there was no way I could make that a free day. So I had to take action. And yeah, I did what I wasn't planned to do, but I felt good.
And you
So
felt good. Yes. Now, how did you celebrate?
uh, I watch a soap opera.
But that's good. Hey, you like to do
In
something, right?
Spanish. In Spanish, but I'm like, okay, I have to do this, and then I'm gonna sit down and recharge watching a telenovela.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, it's good to have an accountability partner, because it's just an example, a simple example. I was planning to have a free day,
Hmm.
and it didn't happen because it happened that we had scheduled a call. We talked about future events, and I got gear up, and I'm like, okay, I have to do, like I have to dive into it right now. And yeah, so anybody out there, find a good accountability partner that can
Yes.
help you grow. So
Hmm. Like I think in most cases you want to have a coach in your life, but if you're not in a position where you're ready to have a coach, at a minimum have an accountability partner, or
yes,
have both,
yes,
really, because I have both in my life, and it's
yes.
important.
I see it now, Michael. I see it now that you have to have a coach, because they're just there to lift you up. We're not perfect.
Yeah.
And
And
we
they're
go,
going to see things that maybe you can't see for yourself, because we're, I heard, Les Brown says, you can't see the picture because you're stuck in the frame, right? You know what I mean? It's like you got to have someone else that can take a look for you.
yeah. Yes, because it's kind of like a cube. We might only see this angle, which is, to
Hmm.
me, might be green, but you're seeing the blue side.
Exactly, right. So it's
So
blue to me, but it's green to you.
yes, yes, and I can tell you all the reasons why it's happening because it's green, and then you can be like, well, listen,
That's so true. Our
life is,
perspectives. Hmm.
yes, yes. So yeah, if you can afford a coach, get a coach, because they're lifesavers.
Yeah. For
What
most people,
would
you can't afford not to have a coach in your life, because I know I've done lots of dumb that would have been avoided if I had someone to say no.
yes, yeah, and sometimes it's we whenever we dive into our fears, our self doubts, our hesitation, it's like we are dancing and we are creating the storm of why is no rainbows and beautiful colors on the other side, but whenever you have a accountability partner, when you have a coach, then they help you see beyond your
Mhm.
scenario. So yes, what would you tell someone right now that has the feeling in the tip of their stomach, because they know they're meant to be more, they're meant to do
Uh,
more, but you know their mind pulls them back because it might not be the right time, because they think, like family will not agree. It's just, they went to school for so long, they have to stay, where they're at right now. Like what would you tell them, those that are like
so I would tell
having
them to take time and write down exactly what you want, as detailed as possible, and then identify the reasons why you want it. Because what I found out, if you have enough reasons, when that doubt and that fear come in, your reasons, and like I like Marvel superheroes, right? So I think of your reasons like a shield that you're holding up. So the more reasons you have, the bigger your shield. All that stuff comes in, it's just bounce off of your shield, because your why is so big. Like, you can't tell me that I can't do this, because I know that I'm gonna do it, and it's for the right reason, right? It's like your why is just so big that you're not even phased by all of that,
yeah.
right? It doesn't even matter to you. It's kind of like, if I'm driving on the highway, I'm not really concerned about the cars on the other side of the highway, right? Because if there's a median in between us, like a wall or something, right? They No matter what, no matter how fast they're going, even if they have an accident, they're not going to cross over to my side of the highway, because there's a barrier. And that's kind of what your reasons do for you. So even if they're doing something stupid over there, going super fast, you're in your lane, you're focused, they can't touch you. And so that's why you want to have enough strong reasons to keep you going. And you have to have a way of keeping what you want, your why, in front of you. So you're constantly being reminded of, what you're trying to accomplish. So those days when you have rejection or you have that self-doubt, you can look at it and say, this is why I'm doing it, right? If I know that I'm doing this for my family, to take care of my family, then it's worth the rejection. It's worth the no. It's worth that little uncomfort that I may have to endure, right? It's worth missing a sporting event on TV or some other fun thing if it doesn't line up with helping me achieve my why.
Beautiful. Yes. find enough reasons,
Hmm.
of why we're doing what we're doing. And yeah, I totally agree with you. And you mentioned something about rejection. And to me, like on my first book, I'm working on my first book, so
All right.
rejection is going to be there. And I want my children to learn, that rejection is just a part of our journey, and it's just teaching you. It's kind of like a bump on the shoulder. That's how I
Hmm.
see it. Is like for you, for like when somebody rejects you, it's just a bump on the shoulder for you to see your, like your soul, your why, like your value. That's just how I have experienced it. I've learned to deal with it, where it's like when it's a no, it's like, okay, cool. Then it's like I go back instead of crying. I'm a woman. Instead of crying and taking it, like
They don't like me.
emotionally. So I've learned to, like, okay, okay, it's a no. And then it's like, but then it's like, instead of minimizing myself, it's like, to see your worth. There's enough for a reason. So I
Hmm.
would love for my children to see rejection as an okay. It was like not a big deal. Next. uh
Exactly. I know
so
John Maxwell says that, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. So it's important
some
those moments when you get rejected or you fail at something, go back and reevaluate. Okay, so what can I learn from this experience? Right? Maybe I need to get stronger. Maybe I need to speak better, have better words, talk to someone that's more qualified, that's a better fit
okay.
for whatever I'm offering. But
Yes.
learn from it.
Yeah, I love it, because it's like being humble as well. Like, people minimize themselves, and that's one of the things that I would like to bring the awareness, is like, whoa, 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 you don't have to minimize yourself just because someone told you no.
Exactly.
But let's be humble and see your value, see how we can improve. But yeah, so you said sometimes we win, sometimes we
Learn.
learn.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. And Maggie says, she would ask, how happy are you with where you are in your life right now?
Good
Okay,
question.
so
Mhm.
yes, we
Yeah, you
have
gotta ask
to.
yourself questions like that to motivate yourself, right? Because if that answer is I'm not happy where I'm at, then I need to move forward. So
Yes,
yeah, great question.
it's a great question, Maggie. Thank you, because the quality of our questions, can also move us forward, or
Hmm.
sometimes we get stuck, because the questions sometimes that we ask might not be, could be, sometimes it's like, well, why am I so stupid? Why, like, those are the
Exactly right. Those,
questions.
yeah, they're not helpful
Yeah,
questions.
yeah. So yes, thank you, Maggie. So what has been the biggest pitfall that coaches need to avoid when they get started, want to take action? Coaches or anybody out there that, like, they're about to take action and something happens.
Yeah, I say probably the biggest is probably that fear of failure, and we've already
Okay.
we've already touched on fear a whole lot. So I'll say that's probably one, fear of failure. But then I think also is probably self doubt, or thinking, another way of thinking of it is thinking that they don't have enough. Either like I'm not good enough, or I can't succeed because I don't have XYZ.
This reminds me of, just have to take one more course and I'll be ready. And then they take the
Exactly.
course, and then it's like,
I get
I
one
just
more
have to take one more.
certification, or yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I've been there, where it's like, I just need one more. And
Hmm.
this shows an example that I started, just here we go.
Yeah. It's not going to be perfect, right? It's what you're
It's
going to do it.
no, yeah, but it's like, I'm gonna learn each time and I'll try to improve it. So yes, if you're out there thinking, I just need one more certification, I just need one more book to read, I might just need one more area to master. No, just take action. And it's gonna be imperfect at first, but you're taking action, and that's what matters.
And we're not saying don't read or don't take certifications, right? Because we're both readers. We both, take certifications to learn different things. But I know what I found out is that when I'm in action, when I'm doing something, it makes learning so much better, right? Because if I'm making a bunch of phone calls and I go read a book talking about how to have more confidence on the phone, I'm going to learn more because I'm doing it versus it's just being theory.
Yes, yes, yeah. Keep learning, keep reading, yeah, keep taking certifications because that's a never, to me, like I promised myself, that's a never ending thing. You know, because there are stages in life that I haven't lived yet, and I have to navigate them with grace. And I would share something right now, but let's move on because it's like this new stage in my life that I'm learning to navigate it. But I choose to navigate it with grace.
Yeah.
And our courses have helped me a lot. And I know that future courses will continue to inspire me to grow. So yes, what we're trying to say is that sometimes we use that as an excuse to think that we have to gain a new skill in order for us to take action. So just take imperfect action. Look at babies, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
they tumble when they're trying to walk, but they continue until they get it done.
I'll tell you, that was me. So I joined Toastmasters because I used to have a fear of public speaking. And I joined Toastmasters back in 2003 to learn how to overcome my fear of public speaking. And I had a desire of being a professional speaker. But I thought I had to have certifications and I had to do X number of speeches before I could ever even market myself as a speaker. Because I would say, well, I haven't done this or I haven't won this contest or done that. Right? All those little excuses that really weren't really relevant. And the thing is, they were all made up in my own head. Like no one ever told me, oh, you got to have this first. These are just stories that I told myself.
Yes, because you want to gain credibility, I think. It's like I remember I challenged myself, Michael, 1 year to read one book per week and post a review on YouTube
Mm.
because I thought, well, if I do that, it's silly me. I was like, I'm just gonna gain credibility. I just kept myself busy for the year. I could
I
have,
mean, you probably learned a whole lot, but yeah.
yeah, but it's like sometimes it's like you said, I could have taken different action, but it was because my self-doubt of stepping out there into the unknown and fear of rejection, like we were talking about. Uh, then I could have been networking through that year, at the same time. But yeah, sometimes we limit our own selves, thinking, oh, I have to get this first before I can take action. Uh, what would you say? Because as you're talking about discipline, we're talking about always for opportunity, right?
Yes.
And execution and responsibility. What would you tell someone that says, well, but I've tried it all and it's not working?
Yeah. Then I would probably ask the question, you tried it all? Really? Every word like all or everyone, what I mean? Like those are just words that people use, but they really haven't actually done that, right?
Yes.
But then I would really go back to asking them, okay, so what do you want? So if they say, hey, I want to be a six-figure coach, as an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then let's put a plan in place for that to happen. And I'll ask them, okay, give me an idea. So for the last, take your calendar for the last 4 weeks and let me know, what did you do on every single day for the last 4 weeks towards your business, right? So
Okay.
did you make phone calls? Did you make phone calls? Did you ask for people to be your coaching client? There's so many coaches who have never asked the person, will you let me coach you? Right? Or, I want to work with you. This is how much I charge. There's so many coaches who have never even had that conversation. And they've been quote unquote certified for years, but they're waiting thinking that someone is just going to come to them and say, hey, can I pay you to coach me? And that happens, but you can't wait for that. Right.
Okay.
So one of the things that, in the area of like discipline I talk about is doing, you know, so doing income creating actions. Right. So figuring out, okay, so if I only have X number of minutes per day or something, if you only have 17 minutes per day to work on your business, what income creating activities can you do in your business for 17 minutes? That could be making phone calls. It could be reach out, sending people direct messages on social media. It could be preparing a presentation or promoting a webinar or something, right? So you just got to figure out, like, what do I need to do? What actions do I really need to do that's going to move me towards my business?
Yeah. And we create our own reality. That's another thing, is like,
Mhm.
we create our own reality. Yeah, keep trying. Something's going to stick. Is like, continue to. That's what business is about, or whatever project you're at. Right now, we're talking about business, but it's like, it's trying a new thing. Let's see if this works. Oh, it didn't work. Okay, let's try another. Be an
Exactly.
innovator.
You've got to be willing to fail. Like, I know at the conference, I told people, I said that you've got to be willing to fail fast. Like, that's my goal. It's like, if I'm going to do it, I want to fail fast so that way I can learn as soon as possible. I'm not going to wait and say, okay, I'm going to start that 6 months from now. No, let me do it now, fail, learn from it, try again, like you said, and keep moving forward.
Yes, keeping that discipline. Keeping that discipline, looking for those opportunities, executing, and be responsible for our actions. So yes, if you're out there thinking, I've tried it all already, I'm sorry, you haven't.
Exactly. Try one more.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
try it
try,
different,
yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
yeah.
Yes, and remember to, like, you're doing this, whatever you're doing, align with what keeps you alive. What's the thing that keeps you alive, so that you can continue to move through life with peace, with love, with joy, because that's what's all about, isn't it, Michael? It's like, I know you love what you do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love what I do, because it's like, to me, it's like, I'm giving back. I'm giving back, and seeing my growth, and not just in my profession, but seeing my growth as a mom, it's a huge win. So for anybody out there that feels like they've tried it all, try one more time, realign with what keeps you alive. What do you really want in life? And make sure that whatever you're doing, that you're expressing, the fruits of the spirit, that you're realigning with who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think whenever we know who we are, then, I mean, you talk about the why as well, then we know our direction. So
Yeah, it makes a
yes,
big difference.
yes. What have you seen the most in your business, like in your conferences? Like, what type of personality have you, you know uh gives up, or
What type of
your
person
try?
that gives up, or what type of?
Yeah, what type of personality? It's the ones that I tried it all, or, like, they have that mentality of
I think it's so. Yeah, so I can speak to that. So I think it's a lot of times it's the perfectionist. So even me for years, I'm a natural perfectionist, right? I always want to make things better. I want to make things perfect, but I had to learn that done is better than perfect, and that I have to be willing to fail with my actions and keep moving forward. So, but I see a lot of people who they've maybe they're transitioning out of corporate America or something, where in their corporate environment it was discouraged for them to really fail. Look down upon to fail. So they would be more risk averse because they didn't want to take risks because of fear of failure, and so they bring that to their business, and you're trying to get things so perfect. I've got to have the perfect funnel or the perfect system, and to even market myself as a coach, and or I have to have the perfect coaching method down, right? So they want to practice, coaching for 6 months or a year or whatever on a friend before they even market themselves. And so those are the people that I see that really don't succeed, and it's a shame because coaching can be so rewarding. I mean, you can really make a difference in people's lives. I had a good friend of mine, Annette. Actually, Annette. So she gave
yes,
me this. She gave me this at the conference, and I was like, "Oh, those words speak so well to me, right? They may
they
forget
would
what
like.
you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel." And I think
Yes,
as a coach, we have an opportunity to do that on a regular basis because
yes,
our clients they'll definitely remember how you made them feel, like the impact you made on their life.
yeah,
It was so interesting. I had something. So this past Sunday evening, I was at church, and I had a gentleman came up and sat beside me real quick. He said, "Hey, Mike, I've been looking for you. I wanted to thank you for the class that your wife that you and your wife taught us, back 3 years ago, because we did Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, and we taught that class at our church. And he was like, we've completely transformed our finances over the last few years, and we're focused more on retirement now. And he just felt so good, and I was like, man, that was been like 3 years ago, but that impact still lingers on. And
Yeah.
that's what we need to do as coaches, right? Make a difference in people and really affect their family. You don't really know the impact you're going to make, but you can make it.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for, sharing about the impact that we make, how we make other people feel, and also about perfectionism, because I see it with the youth.
Hmm.
They get like they stressed out, and I'm like, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
It's like I have to remind them, is like, just get it done. I don't expect it to be perfect. I do expect you to express your knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to,
That,
yeah, you want them to do their best, right? Put their best effort in.
yes, yes, exactly. But it's like, I'm not looking for how perfect you color it. We're talking, in this case, we're talking about coloring a periodic table. So this person was, that you could see it in her eyes, you could see it in her, like, her body
Hmm.
language. She was stressing out because it wasn't perfect. And it's just one scenario that I can share with you. It's happening with our youth as well, that they expect that perfectionism, and it only leads to anxiety.
Yep.
So yes, it's like we need to stop, because perfectionism doesn't really exist. Like, there is not a measurement tool to say, okay, this, we achieve perfectionism. So
Exactly.
sometimes we get trapped into that, trying to achieve perfectionism, and we're missing out the journey. We're missing out to enjoy the journey of life, or whatever project we're working on, because we're so exhausted seeking for that level of perfectionism. And in reality, I haven't found a level of perfectionism with the 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, and you never will, right? So like something that really helped me out, being with having an IT background, technical background, is knowing with software, there's always the next version, right? So like even like as good as my iPhone is, next week there's probably gonna be a new version or some type of update, because there's no such thing as a perfect operating system or a perfect phone. They're constantly making improvements, right? We're in that
Yeah.
constant state of improvement. And that's what our sales, anything that we do, is. And John Maxwell says you're never good the first time. So you do it, you learn from it, you improve, keep improving. And that's what
Perfect.
every area of our lives.
Yes,
Trust me, I
yes.
wasn't I wasn't the best, father when my oldest son was born, right? It was like I had to learn. I made a bunch of failures, a bunch of mistakes.
Yes, yes, and we'll never reach, the perfect level of parenting, because they keep aging, and we're aging with them, and time keeps changing. And
Hmm.
I'm right there, where I'm like, okay, how can I approach this to the best of my abilities with grace? How can I approach this new change with grace? So yes, it's like, and here we go. It's the mindset as well. Things are
Yeah.
changing. How can I approach this with grace? What is your, like, number one tip for saving time by being a doer?
Yeah. So for me, it's I learned this. John Maxwell talks about this, but I learned this from someone else 2 years ago. Is plan tomorrow the night before, right? So planning your day ahead.
Okay.
That's one of the biggest time saver that I've ever done. So as an example, let's say if tomorrow I know that I need to make 5 calls, as an example, right? So one approach is to wait for tomorrow and then look up those names and numbers, and right, and that takes effort. If I do it the night before, plan out that list. Okay, I'm going to call Joe. I'm going to call John. I'm going to call Sarah. Right? If I plan it all out the night before, then when it comes time for me to take that action, I've already got it planned, so I'm able to do it right away versus having to like waste mental energy looking it up or something.
Cool.
And that planning process can be done in that non-productive time of the night where you're not able to really do anything else other than like read or something, right? You
Mhm.
can take take 17 minutes if you want to, and plan your day out for tomorrow.
Yeah, Brendan Burchard. I don't know if you know Brendan Burchard,
Yeah.
but he talks about it too. Like he's like, you have to pre-plan, like Sunday, pre-plan your week,
Mm-hmm.
and cool. Now
It
make
helps
you
you
know
more
like
productive.
yeah,
Yeah.
awesome.
And because like for me, so because I still work a full-time job, running a business, doing my own coaching, but also doing teaching and all that, and having to put together lessons and all that. And people are like, man, how are you able to do all of that with your family and all that? Like this, I'm not perfect at it. Like I don't have everything planned out, but as much as possible, I try to plan and think ahead, because then it just makes it so much easier. That way I'm not stressing over what I'm gonna train on, minutes before, right? I can enjoy myself. I can come and relax. And I see that with some speakers too, where they're not fully prepared with their talk. So they're not able to really like engage with people beforehand, because they're so thinking about their words and like what, I don't forget my lines and all that. Whereas I try to be prepared. So it's like at a moment's notice, I can go up and give my talk, but I'm not thinking about my words because I already have that part down.
Of course, because Joseph McClendon III says, "Be ready."
Exactly, right?
Always
Yep.
be ready.
That before, yeah. So that whole before time, before, during, after, that Joseph talks about. So yes, you always be ready.
Yeah, yeah. It was like he always says that. You just, that's just who you are. You always, be ready. It's like, okay. High standards, but I like it. Yeah, yes, I agree with him. It's like just be ready. And like you said, it's like learn to pre-plan your week, learn to to pre-plan what things are going on that week, so that nothing is surprise you. It's like, okay, I expected it, and I'm gonna do the best that I can. So,
and then learn from anything that does surprise you. So if something surprises you, like an example would be, we did on the Maxwell team, we did a webinar with John Maxwell. It was scheduled for a couple of weeks ago, and something happened in John's schedule. He didn't make that webinar. So the executive vice president of the Maxwell team, Chris Robinson, he came on to kind of give us the news, let us know that, hey, we're going to reschedule. Well, someone asked him, does he have a talk he can share with the group? And he thought about it for a second. He quickly grabbed something, and he had content. He was able to deliver a powerful 30-minute talk talking about failure, like tips of dealing with failure at a moment's notice, because his environment is set up where he's very organized, where he can quickly pull that talk up, have his notes, and go for it like that. I mean, it was powerful. Everybody was like, whoa.
Wow. Yes. Here's the, being a doer, having the discipline to be ready, because you're seeking for the opportunity. Here we go. The opportunity to execute. Which, and then being responsible, because I am like, when I am responsible, then that makes me feel good. So that's what is like, I'm doing it in order. Like and
the responsibility is so important. Like we didn't really talk a whole lot about responsibility, but I know when at the conference, I talk to people about having responsibility for three main areas. So responsible for your personal growth, which you're huge in personal growth with reading and studying and all that. That's important. But also responsible with your attitude. I see a lot of people who they let other people determine their attitude versus them determining. So I'm like, no, you need to be responsible for your own attitude. It doesn't matter what's going on with the world. If everybody else is down and blue and fearful, right, you can still choose to be upbeat and positive. We have complete control over that, right? And then the third area is responsibility for your character, right? So character is who you are when no one is looking. So it's like, are you comfortable enough with yourself where you can truly be your full self when you're around people? And because people can pick up if you're phony, especially if you get opportunity to be around people on a regular basis. They're going to start sensing if you're phony, if you're trying to have this facade every time you on stage or whatever. But just manage your character, and you're going to attract the right people to you.
Awesome. Yes, I totally agree. It's like it is a learning skill. Like to me, it's like that being who you are
Mm.
in front of everybody, it took me time, like, to be honest, because I didn't know who I was. I thought I was just born the way I was born, and that's it, like, you couldn't take anything away or add anything to
Mhm.
it. And then discovering that, oh no, you get to choose, you get to choose
Exactly.
and recreate and be a better version of yourself. And yeah, and then sometimes owning your authenticity, uh
Hmm.
because you're the fear of rejection again, they might not like you the way you are now, or they might, like, but yes, it's like it's an art. So thanks for sharing that, because I think a lot of us that were like me are in the process of learning how to engage, how to interact and feel comfortable with being
I had
you,
to learn. I'm still learning as well because I'm
As
still a natural introvert,
you
right? So,
are, yes,
but I force
yes,
myself out of my comfort zone on a regular basis.
yeah, yes. But we step, you know what I mean? We step out of the comfort zone, and that's what matters. We're exercising a muscle. So
Yes.
that's beautiful. Uh, you love, you're an IT guy, so share any specific software of or anything that you think will benefit anybody with their coaching business, or any software out there that we should be aware of.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There's so many. So if you look at coaching, right? I normally tell coaches that come to me asking about software, keep it simple. I think all coaches need a way to accept appointments. So something like a Calendly, or I know I use Book Like a Boss. Some people use Acuity. So some type of scheduling system for your appointments is very important. And I think some way of accepting registrations for something, right? So if you're going to do a webinar, if you have a lead magnet to attract people, you got to have some type of system in place to attract that. You don't necessarily need to have a website. You just keep it simple.
Okay. And what is your number one tip for being more efficient with being a doer and getting better results with less effort?
See, if I number one tip would probably be track your progress. What I said about track your activity.
Okay. And celebrate, right?
Yeah, and celebrate. Absolutely, yes. That
Yes.
celebration part is important.
Yes. Okay. Just tracking where we're at and where we're going, and
Yeah.
then celebrating ourselves.
Yeah, because you'd
Yeah.
be amazed. Because I know that when even before the conference, like I said, okay, well, the first conference was in April, so it was like 6 months difference. I said, let me actually go back and look, like put all the numbers together for what I've done in the last 6 months, and I amazed myself. I was like, oh wow, I didn't realize I had spoken on this many. Because I knew I had spoken a lot, but I was like, oh, no, I started adding them up, and I was like, whoa.
Okay.
But yeah, but it's track it because so many of us in the whole year. Like a lot of people get to December, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I didn't do that. Right? They're stuck with the didn'ts versus saying I accomplished this, I accomplished this, I accomplished this, I exceeded my expectations here. Right? So you got to have that. Ask yourself those right questions.
Now that you said that, and we're almost at the end of the year, we're in November, it would be a great, question for to share with our audience, is like, begin to ask yourself, what was good for this year? What
Exactly.
was your accomplishments for this year?
Hmm.
Even if they're tiny, give yourself grace, give yourself credit for what you gained this year, because that is going to inspire you to go to the next year, 2023, with even more enthusiasm, with more inspiration to do more. So yes, keeping track of, looking back and looking at what we've done, how much we've grown, what we've learned, what we
Yep.
practiced, right? And what we didn't, then we can write it down for the
Yeah.
next
How can
year.
I improve for next year? Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like the perfect time of the year right now. Begin to analyze, to reflect, and all the beautiful things that we did, and those things that we didn't accomplish. But it doesn't mean that we won't. It could be that we can bring them to 2023 and try it again, even with, here we go, with more growth, more inspiration, more love. I think this is one of the fruits of the spirit that I think we must express as often as we can. You know, the love, the patience, the kindness for other people, even for those that we don't know. So
Mhm.
thank you so much for being here. Is there a last message you would like to share with our audience?
Yeah, I'll just say be willing to fail, right? So take imperfect action and be willing to fail.
Yes, please do, because if I wouldn't have taken imperfect action, this show would not be happening because I was so afraid of my English. I was so afraid of messing up. I was so afraid of like promoting, like typing in English. So I am a proof of that. Uh, that you have to take imperfect actions if you want something to grow, if you want something to continue, you know, to flourish. So please
Yes.
take imperfect action, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your time. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you so much. I'm always enjoy learning from you. You know, I admire your professional life and your family life as well. So I
Thank
thank
you.
you for
I learned a lot
sharing.
from you too. I watch what you do, so I appreciate you.
Thank you. Uh, I just want to remind you all that it is you who give power to your talents. You're very unique. Everybody has talents. So make sure, you know, like you give power to those talents. And with that, you give life to your dreams. Thank you so much for being here. Remember that this show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all news and programming. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Blessings to you all, and we'll see you soon. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.